Hello, everyone. My name is Emma Linsenmayer, and I work on the PISA Research and Innovation team at the OECD. I'm very pleased to be with you today, even if only virtually, to discuss our work on student assessment and how it aligns with this wonderful initiative, Maths Through Stories. Our team focuses mostly on developing the innovative assessment items in PISA, as well as for formative use, the analysis methods, and reporting tools. As many of you are likely familiar, the OECD has been supporting education systems for nearly 3 decades to assess the extent to which their 15-year-old students have acquired the skills and knowledge that they need to thrive in modern societies. This system level international data is then used to improve education policy. PISA targets math, reading, and science, as well as one innovative domain in each cycle. For example, in 2022, we had an assessment of creative thinking, and in 2025, last year, we administered the Learning in the Digital World assessment that focused on self regulated learning and computational problem solving. In order to assess these more process based complex competencies, we need more innovative assessment tasks that allow us to elicit the evidence that we need from the students to make inferences about where they are in these skills. We also get a lot of demands from countries on how we can help support teachers and students to develop these more complex competencies. And so in 2020, we decided to embark on a new initiative, developing the open source platform for innovative learning assessments, which is a formative assessment platform that allows us to make available these more innovative, engaging activities for teachers and students to use and to get feedback to help with this personalized learning, as well as to be kind of a research lab that allows us to develop new assessment activities that map onto these skills and to test out new analysis and reporting methods. Uh, we are using Pila for several different projects, but one that's noteworthy for today, especially, is the Thai Pila, which is a program that we're developing with the Equitable Education Fund in Thailand to co design a Thai version of Pila that suits the national context and is useful for teachers and students. So, what is formative assessment? We see it as the collaborative process in which teachers and students work together to improve learning. So, this is usually structured around three key questions that are taken from the literature. The first one is, where is the learner going? Relates to the learning goals of a particular activity. Where's the learner now? That's the current state of the learner in regards to the skill requirements, knowledge, specific strategies that the task may require. And then the third is, where's this learner going next? So this could be formative feedback that's based on how they did on the task at hand that relates to the skills or the knowledge or potential misconceptions, for example. But it could also be practical next steps. So how are there new tasks that this teacher wants the student to do in order to practice the skills and knowledge that they were targeting in that lesson? What are the benefits of formative assessment? So, research consistently shows that personalized support through tutoring, continuous assessment, and feedback has a strong impact on student success. More recent studies also highlight how technology can scale this personalization effectively. And moreover, when feedback is tailored to each student's level, the improvements are even more significant. When designing formative learning and assessment activities in PILA, we adhere to four key design principles. Spoiler alert, the Mastery Stories approach you're learning about today fulfill all of them, which is another reason we're so interested and excited about this approach and potentially integrating it into PILA, which I'll speak about at the end of this presentation. So the first principle is that activities should be authentic and interdisciplinary. This requires the activation of multiple skills as students would be required to do in everyday life. The Math Through Stories approach asks students to demonstrate not only their mathematical understanding, but also their problem solving skills, visual and written communication skills, creative thinking, and more, such as social emotional skills. The second principle is that they should be open ended, so we can observe the students' thinking. This is important because it helps the teachers like you to understand where to provide support. So when students answer a more traditional item like multiple choice question incorrectly, it's difficult to know when and why they went wrong in their thinking, and then how to provide the support they need. In master stories, there are of course many steps to developing a math story. So the student might begin by thinking about a real life problem identifying which math concepts could be used as tools to solve the problem, concocting the narrative and the characters, as well as then visually representing the math in engaging and meaningful ways. So this process obviously provides a lot of data points for teachers like you to be able to understand where their students are, as well as to provide the feedback that matters and when they need it most. So the activities should also be adaptable to different contexts and needs. This is important for engagement because once students find meaning and are engaged with the activity, then they're likely to show us even more about what they can actually do. The Math Through Stories approach is very student-centered, as you've probably already seen from this morning's presentations, but students can incorporate their own perspective, interests, culture, and this motivates them to use these more higher order thinking skills. And then finally, the activity should generate and promote timely feedback. So teachers and peers can provide immediate feedback as students are working or after if they want their students to present their work to the class, for example. How can Math Through Stories be integrated into your class lessons as a formative assessment tool? You'd start it off as any other lesson, introduce the activity, Math Through Stories to your students, then agree on the learning goals for that activity. So students might get to work, brainstorming their story, what problem they're going to be solving, as well as what math concept they can use to help solve that problem. And as they work, you can walk around, ask questions, make observations. And then once you have the final story, you can use existing rubrics to evaluate the students' different skills. So, for example, their conceptual math understanding, how did they do in being able to communicate their math ideas in different representations? Did you see creative thinking in the way that they went about their story making, or maybe in the actual story itself, as well as literacy skills? Then, based on this information gathering, you can deliver personalized feedback to that individual student that you might have identified several things that they did well or that they need to continue working on, providing class or group feedback through discussion, for example, adjusting lessons to address misconceptions, as well as supporting skill development by assigning, tasks that they can do to practice whatever skill that you want them to improve on. This Math Through Stories approach can be used in multiple moments of the year. You can imagine maybe at the beginning of the year, you want to assign this type of activity to understand what they remember from last year's math classes. You could also assign it in the middle or end of the school year to kind of compare it to their progress from the beginning of the year. This is also a nice opportunity to allow students to reflect on their progress. You could also assign it as a way to check a unit and how well they understood the concepts after spending a couple days or weeks on a specific math unit. And you could potentially assign it as a learning kind of inquiry activity where students can work together or individually to learn about a new concept and explore that new concept through their story. I'll end my presentation just by mentioning an exciting initiative in the context of the TIE PILA project, where we'll be integrating a hybrid version of the Math Through Stories approach. So what this means is that teachers will be able to upload their students' stories into an application in PILA. And thanks to an AI analyzer tool that we're developing with Vince, based on rubrics as well as examples of stories, they'll be able to receive automated feedback for each of their student stories. And this importantly keeps the teacher at the center of the formative feedback loop. So they're really the drivers. They're able to review the feedback, filter it, contextualize it for their students to make sure that it's meaningful and personalized for their needs. And so this can also provide additional learning opportunities for students and teachers to discuss, if there are any disagreements, for example, in what the AI was proposing as feedback and what the teacher may, using their professional judgment, may wish to give to the student. They can really highlight that to showcase the importance of human oversight and critical thinking when using AI tools. I'm, of course, available via email if you want to learn more or have any questions about our work. I will now pass it back to Vince and wish you all an amazing rest of the workshop.